Hello, 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 everybody. Happy Get Crackin' on Christmas. As people are joining us live, I just want to give a brief rundown of what Get Crackin' on Christmas is all about. I did see that somebody in the chat mentioned that they feel a little bit of fall in the air, and I agree. I feel a little bit of fall in the air. Here on Cape Cod, I'm actually wearing one of my long sleeve t-shirts. I just wanted to let you guys know, Get Crackin' on Christmas is all about an initiative to help me get my holiday cards done before the stress of the fall happens. So we are looking at September 1st is right around the corner. There's a lot of fall activities that go on. You've got Halloween and Thanksgiving, and before you know it, the holidays are here. And there were several years that I was just too busy to get any holiday cards in the mail. I also was discouraged because I purchased a lot of holiday products from some of my favorite companies, and I didn't get a chance to use those items. So what I like to do now is get cracking on Christmas. Once a month, I make some holiday cards. This way, I'm able to play with a variety of different supplies. I'm able to test out different techniques and embellishments, and really just enjoy the process a whole lot more. I always share my card on the third Thursday of the month. On that post on my website, I'll let you guys know when my live is, which is what you're seeing today. And during my live, I am going to recreate my card for you guys and give you some tips and tricks and share my process with you. Now, one thing I hear time and time again is that people just run out of time and they don't have enough time to create. And so I was thinking, I was like, well, people don't have time, but a lot of people will make the time to join me for my lives, which I so appreciate. Whether you're watching live or you're catching the replay, you're here, right? So while you're watching along with me, I would encourage you guys to all start your own holiday cards. And it doesn't need to be the same exact card that I'm creating. It doesn't need to be the supplies that I'm using. Whatever it is you want to work on, start die cutting some images, start stamping out some sentiments, start ink blending some backgrounds. Again, whatever it is, you are here. So this is your time to start working on your holiday cards. So again, thank you to those of you that are joining me live. I would absolutely love if you subscribe to my channel and give a little thumbs up to this video. If you're catching me on the replay, fabulous. Be sure to leave a comment on this video and let me know what you enjoyed most about what I shared with you guys today. I see that Brianne is here in the live chat, and she is amazing at dropping in links as I am sharing some stuff. So I really appreciate Brianne doing that as well. If you're here live in the pinned chat, in the pinned comment, I put a link to my blog post. That's where you'll find a lot more images of my project that I'm going to be creating today. There's also a full supply list over on my website. If you're catching the replay, you'll see in the comments or the description of this video is a link to the blog post, as well as the top few supplies used to create this card. So yay, yay, yay. All right, so we are going to jump right in and we are going to get started, and we're just going to have a fun time. What's really kind of crazy is I was completely prepared for today's Get Crackin' on Christmas, which maybe behind the scenes you guys don't always know that. But I got my project done before I went away for a week. And then while I was away is when my post went live. And so today I was like, oh, got to clean up my table and get my room ready to go live. But I couldn't remember where I put my project and the kit. I was like, Jen, you're all ready. Where is it all? So it took me a few minutes, but I found it. I found it. Let's see. Hello, everybody that is joining in. Hello, Melissa and Claire and Mary Lou. Hello, fun friends. I kind of hate you a little bit for being on the beach right now, but I love you for popping in. Hello, Sandy and Karen. Karen's just stumbled by on a happy accident, so I hope you stick around, Karen. Hi, Cindy. Hi, Barb. Hi, Wendy. Hi, Beth. Lots of fun people. Hello, hello. All right, so today's card is, I'm kind of calling it loose watercoloring, and it's actually using some newer items from Pink Fresh. They recently did their holiday release, and I love it. And I loved so much of it that I decided to feature it on this month's Get Crackin' on Christmas because I wanted to have time to play with it more. So the main stamp set that I'm using today is Magical Holiday. I love how unique it is, that it's kind of a little border of some holiday greenery and then some really fun sentiments. I always love Pink Fresh's sentiments. They always do an amazing job with those. So there's a coordinating die. There's a coordinating press plate as well. And just as a reminder, press plates, you can hot foil. Sorry, I was forgetting my words. You can hot foil with press plates. So even if you don't have the tools to do the letterpress, better press plating, you can still hot foil with it. So very, very cool. And then there also is a coordinating stencil. So if you don't want to do the coloring, Pink Fresh has the layering stencils for you to do some ink blending. So again, if watercoloring isn't your jam and you don't want to get into that, that's totally fine. Also on the background here, what I used was the Festive Grid cover plate. I also think Pink Fresh does an amazing job with their cover plate dies, and I'm almost always in love with them. So that's what you'll see for that background detail. And the last supply that I used was some Honeybee Stamps Holiday Wishes gem stickers. Now, in my side drawer, right over beside me, which by the way, Jack is actually here today. I can't believe it. Let's see if I can get him on camera a little bit more. There he is. He's actually hanging out with me. Usually when I'm chatting with you guys, he does not like to hang out, but he's passed out. I finally cleaned that part of my desk and he's very excited. But in my side drawer over here, I have my Pink Fresh gems and also my Honeybee Stamps gems and pearls. And I find that I am grabbing and flipping through my Honeybee Stamps ones so much. I think they always have such a great variety of colors mixed together. And then I love the variety of sizes as well. So that's what I am using today for my bling. What I did is I actually gold embossed the image and the sentiment. And then I die cut the Sending You a Magical Holiday and the greenery border. And so I already pre-did that. I was like, well, I'm not going to take the time. Many times I share with you guys how I do my embossing. If you're new to my channel, I would definitely check out the Get Crackin' on Christmas playlist because there's a lot of great information there where you'll be able to look back at all the other things that I have shared. So let's see. Hello, hello, Jessie. Thanks for popping in. I'm glad you found me back in July. Pam says, I've been looking for a live reminder and I didn't see one. So if you click the little bell to be notified on my YouTube channel, that's when you should get a notification unless you have notifications shut off on your device. And yeah, Melissa said that the layering stencils are a game changer when you're cranking out a lot of cards, which is so true. And a good thing to mention that if you are behind, maybe you haven't done Get Crackin' on Christmas with me all year, those layering stencils are going to be a game changer for you. Shari, I haven't seen a comment for Shari, but maybe I missed it when I was explaining my supplies. Linda was asking if Shari is here, and she usually does pop in on my lives when she has time. So we're going to get started. We are going to just jump right into watercoloring the greenery here. And I want to actually grab a little scratch of Distress Watercolor cardstock. So that is what I embossed on, was Distress Watercolor cardstock. It's my most favorite watercolor cardstock and the one that I use the most. And then what I'm also going to be using are my Distress Watercolor Pencils. So many of you guys know I like to keep my Distress Watercolor Pencils in their tin, and I use them like a palette right in there. So they get a little messy, but I don't mind because they're very functional and I'm getting a lot of use out of them. And what I do with all 6 Distress watercolor sets is I just kind of fan them out like I'm doing here. And that way I can access all the colors and use them, like I said, as a paint palette, which I find really, really helpful. Now, Organized Jen, I think that I did make a color list of what I used on what, but I don't know where I put that list. So we're going to wing it. And that's why I have a little bit of scratch watercolor cardstock here so I can kind of test out the colors and try to stay with the same colors that I used on my original sample. So that way, if you do want to try to recreate this card, then, you know, you won't wonder what colors I used. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of peeled paint right here, and I'm going to start to place it in to the pointy holly leaves. Now, I know very little about plants and what kind of plants things are. So as I am watercoloring, I am going to just mention the shape of the leaves and such, and not pretend that I know what I'm talking about when it comes to plant kinds. So I'm picking up quite a bit of pigment from my Distress watercolor pencils, and I'm kind of just dabbing it on wherever I want my shadow to be on these leaves. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom way in for you guys now that you've seen my watercolor pencil setup. Now you can kind of see what I'm actually watercoloring. And I named this kind of this theme of this month's Get Crackin' on Christmas loose watercoloring because it really is very loose. I love to watercolor, but I never claim to be a watercolor artist. And so what I'm always trying to do when I share watercoloring with you guys is make watercoloring feel more approachable, because I do think sometimes when people hear watercoloring, they get really nervous and they feel like they can't watercolor on their own. So that's always my plan, is to make watercoloring seem approachable to you guys. So like I am mentioning, I am just taking a wet paintbrush and brushing it on the tip of the pencil, whatever color I want. And this just happens to be peeled paint. And then I am dabbing it on to the image wherever I want the shadow to be. Now, again, this is watercolor cardstock, so this isn't going to work well if you're not using watercolor cardstock. And I pre-embossed the image with gold. And part of the reason why I did that is by embossing the image, it builds kind of a wall so that when you are watercoloring, there's less chance of bleeding. You're kind of able to stay in the lines a little bit easier, and you can be more loose with it. So that's the loose watercoloring part of things. So yeah, awesome. Yes, Pam, get those Distress watercolor pencils out and love them. Love them, love them, love them. Um, Yeah, so Pam, what I did is I pre-schedule this live. So on the third Thursday of the month, which is Get Crackin' on Christmas, I do a blog post, and on my blog post, I put a link to this pre-scheduled live, so you'll know the day and the time. And if you click that link at the time, it'll bring you over to the pre-scheduled video, and you can tap the bell, and then when I go live, you should get a notification on your device, whatever it is you watch YouTube on. And that's how we do the reminders. So hopefully that makes sense. So what I'm doing is I'm taking a wet brush that doesn't have too much water, and I'm pulling some of the pigment from where I placed it for the shadow. And what that's doing is starting to add some dimension. As I pull the color, it's getting lighter and lighter and lighter. And then that way, we're going to have a little bit of dimension on our leaves, but we're not going to worry about it too much. I just want to have a little bit of dark and a little bit of light and pretty colors and get this holiday card done, right? I actually find watercoloring really relaxing now that I've done it a lot. And so I kind of just like, if I wasn't live right now and talking and keeping up with comments, I just find it very relaxing where I'm just kind of letting the flow of the watercolor kind of dictate where the look is going to go for this image. Okay. So hopefully you guys can see that where I laid down the pigment first, stayed nice and dark. And then with a clean brush, I pulled the color. I cleaned the brush again and I pulled the color again to get a nice variant of color. So as you guys have questions, again, I am watercoloring at the same time as I'm monitoring questions. Putting the word question first in all caps really helps me see what's being said in the chat. I love that you guys start chatting with each other and catching up, and we kind of have some regulars that are always here, and that's super, super fun for me. But I want to make sure that I don't miss any questions. And so as I'm trying to keep up with things, having that question in all caps really helps. Awesome. So we have some people that are working on their holiday cards. Let me know if you are here live or you're watching the replay. Let me know if you are working on your holiday cards right now or if you're just watching. So the next color I'm going to use is Evergreen Bow. And this, I'm not going to lie, this was my way of sneaking in a teal-ish color into my holiday card without using peacock feathers, which if you know, you know, my peacock feathers Distress Watercolor Pencil is getting close to being done. I've used almost all of it up. I'll show you guys in a few minutes what it looks like. Although I have to say, Ranger was so kind and mailed me a single peacock feathers Distress Watercolor Pencil because they didn't want to see me be sad when it ran out. And so what I'm doing is I'm using Evergreen Bow, and I'm just tapping it on the base of these kind of oval roundish leaves. Oval roundish. That makes sense, right? Let me find my peacock feathers. So here we go. Peacock feathers, you guys. It's been so loved. I've been using these Distress Watercolor Pencils since months and months before they came out. So they do last a very, very long time. But I guess we can tell what my favorite color is, right? So now again, I have a clean brush, not a lot of water, and I'm going to start to pull the color away from where I placed it. And I kind of am working leaf to leaf, leaf to leaf, leaf to leaf, jeez, leaf to leaf. So I'm working my way around. I'm pulling for the first layer. And what I'm actually doing is wiping any pigment off that I've collected on my brush from that leaf onto my hand. This is just a habit I've gotten into. You can use a cloth or paper towel. watercolor pencils wash off very easily, so this is not going to stain my hand by any means. It's just comfortable for me. And I'm just kind of pulling a little bit, depending how big the leaf is. We want to try to get to a very light point. So I'm leaving some white space. Now I'm cleaning my brush again, and I'm going to go around and do each leaf again, and then I will finish filling it in. And this is going to be the lightest point at the tip of the leaves. Now, because we're working on watercolor cardstock, because we're working with a watercolor medium, we've got a lot of time to activate the pigments with water and move it. And that's how I'm able to kind of keep pulling pigment, even though it might dry a little, to fill in these leaves. Hello, Shari. Yes, teardrop shaped leaves. Thanks, Shari. She's so good at that. Actually articulating her words much better than me. But what am I going to say? I kind of feel a little bit like I'm still in vacation fog. I'm not going to lie. We did kind of a little staycation. I live on Cape Cod, so we go to Provincetown, Massachusetts, which is the very end of Cape Cod, and we rent a house for a week, a group of us friends. And we got home Saturday. We did a little beach time at our beach here at home Sunday. And then I had guests Monday and Tuesday. And then yesterday, was that when? No, Wednesday, I like sat down and started to like make a mega to-do list and immediately got overwhelmed with life. And then yesterday was a busy day getting some work done. So I kind of feel a little bit in a vacation fog still. You know, this is a hard time of year for mermaids, which I'm a part-time mermaid. Labor Day weekend, I know that there's still a lot of beautiful weekends left on Cape Cod, but the fall is just so busy. So, with all good stuff, but it's still hard. It's hard to let summer go. All right, so there we go. You can kind of see how we've got a little bit of shadow at the base and a lighter bit at the tip. So, let's see. Pam is asking what color or what size paintbrush I'm using. And I have these cheaper paintbrushes from Blick Arts. And my two sizes that I use the most are 6 and 4. They don't even have the print on them anymore, but they're 6 and 4. Now, in my online shop, I carry the Ranger paintbrushes because it's a set of brushes in one set, and it's a really good value. And in that set of brushes, the size that I would recommend is a 4 and 6. So it just depends what brushes you have, but they're round brushes, you know, have a variety of sizes, whatever you're comfortable with. I tend to use a bigger round brush, but I think if maybe you're a little bit newer to watercoloring, you might want to go with a smaller round brush because you might want to be a little bit carefuler staying in the lines. I don't know. All right, then we have, I think this is eucalyptus on the end. Again, I'm not claiming to know, but the circular leaves to me look like eucalyptus. And for that, I'm going to use bundled sage. And we're going to just add some color at the base of those leaves. Although sadly, most of this eucalyptus is going to get cut off once we put it on our card. But, you know, maybe you're going to design your card differently. Maybe you're going to do a horizontal card. So I figured I would show how I would paint the whole thing. I think having a variety of greens is a good way to go so that things will look different, right? I'm just making sure my eyeballs are catching all the places. Yeah, Brienne is so awesome at linking stuff up. I always appreciate when Brienne takes time to be here, so thank you. And Shari, my fall loving East Coast bestie, is reminding me fall is coming. Oh, I know, Shari. I know. So, funny little story. I actually love Halloween and love making cards for Halloween. I love decorating for Halloween. And so we have our new home that we purchased this year, and I'm very excited to decorate for Halloween. And I bought some really cool, spooky houses, and I enabled Shari to buy the same ones or similar ones. Like there were so many different options. We might have similar ones. And my houses, granted, they got delivered when I was on vacation, but they've been here, and I semi refused to open the box because I didn't want to make my house messy when I had guests staying. But I also think I'm in denial and I just don't want to see fall stuff yet. So Shari got her box yesterday and opened it yesterday. So I got to kind of see them from her photo, but I just laugh at myself. I'm just not ready. I'm just not ready. Okay. So then we have our pine boughs, and I'm wondering, I think I use pine needles actually. Let me just grab a little swatch of this. That's so similar though to you know what? I'm going to mix a little pine needles and a little lucky clover. So what I'm doing to be able to mix colors is I'm just going to take my wet brush and pull some off the lucky clovers, and then I'm going to pull some off the pine needles. And this will just kind of mix the color right on my brush. And we're just going to kind of scribble a little bit of color wherever these pine boughs are. Now remember, I embossed in gold, so a lot of this color is going to repel. Oh, I just saw a leaf that I forgot to finish coloring. But it'll be enough to give a hint of color on the edges, which I think is so, so pretty. So I'm just making my way around, tapping on some of that color. Again, I'm just now going back to grab some more pigment from those pencils, but these Distress Watercolor Pencils are so highly pigmented. A little bit really, really does go a long way. Over here, I got a little bit puddly, so I'm pulling some of that pigment by having a clean brush and picking up that pigment, and then I can kind of tap it on elsewhere. If you are interested in playing more with your Distress watercolor pencils, I have 2 online technique classes all about Distress watercolor pencils. Now, don't sign up today, but wait till tomorrow, because I am doing a back to school sale on all of my previous online classes. So if you're watching this live with me today, hold off until tomorrow and sign up, and you will get 15% off of the online class, which is really cool. And a fun way, whether you take my classes already, a fun way to kind of stock up on the ones you haven't signed up for yet, or if you're new to me, it's a fun way to try out a class. They're very affordable to begin with, $20 to $30, unless, you know, Copic 101 is a little bit more money because I ship a workbook. But very affordable on their own, but even better if we can save a little money, right? Let's see. Oh, thanks, Daniela. I'll fly right out to Germany right now. We actually have beautiful weather here on the Cape. It's just a little bit chillier in the house, so I threw my long sleeve shirt on that's really light. Let's see. So Pam has another great question. She says, when the embossing repels the pigment, do I go back in and soak up that pigment? Yes and no. It just depends what look I want. Now down here, I feel like I'm losing the detail of that evergreen. So I am going to soak a little bit up. And to do that, I just have a damp brush. There's not a lot of water on here. And I'm just going to touch it to this area, and it's going to kind of soak up that extra pigment. Okay. Thank you so much, Margot. I really appreciate those kind comments. So I am now going to do my little berries, and I believe I used festive berries. You guys do know I'm going to find my color list after I'm done being live, because that's just how my life goes. Now, these berries are teeny tiny, so I'm not even going to try to do any shading or anything. Again, loose watercoloring. What I do love, though, is because of the gold embossing, I'm just dabbing on a little bit of pigment, and it's pooling in that circular space, and it's going to stay in place, which is really, really nice. It'll take a little bit of time to dry. You can zap it with your Ranger heat tool, but I'm going to just kind of let it rest while I watercolor the background with you guys. That's where the loose watercoloring is really going to come into play. But we're going to just dab a little bit of red on all of these berries. So I had posted on my Instagram stories a little bit before I went live as a reminder that I was going to be going live. And I said, I'm like, and we'll be glittering all of the things, because it's a very rare that I create any card, let alone a holiday card, without glitter. But then I was looking at my card and there's no glitter. So we're gonna fix that for this one. But I was kind of laughing. False advertising. So there we go. All of that is watercolored. Okay. So I am going to go ahead and just set this greenery aside. Gail is in Michigan and it's hot and humid. Well, send it my way, Gail. I'll take it. Melissa says her husband just got the mail and there's a Lawn Fawn package and she's so excited. I love it. Yeah, Lawn Fawn release day. It's such a good release. Oh, Monique has the last day of summer break in the Netherlands. Yay, yay, yay. Yeah, embossing for watercoloring just makes it a little less intimidating, I think. For sure, for sure. Awesome. Yay. Okay, so this is that background that I said. It is the festive grid cover plate. So what it did is it cut out some little divots, and then it has kind of that pinpoint detail, and then it cut out some little stars. So what I did for this is a very, very loose watercoloring. And so I'm just going to share with you guys how I did that. I'm hoping I'll be able to recreate it very well. I will be honest, it kind of depends on your mood and how your watercoloring looks. Or at least that's the case for me. So I'm going to take a little bit. I think I used lumberjack plaid. Let me test it out. Yeah. So I used lumberjack plaid for the circular ornaments. And so what I did is I'm going to take a little bit of that lumberjack plaid on the tip of my brush, and I'm going to just add it on the right side of these ornaments. Now, if you're new to this, I wouldn't do a ton at once like I am. Just do one at a time. I just cleaned my brush. I don't have any pigment and not a ton of water. And I'm going to pull that color. I'm cleaning my brush again. Again, not too much water. I always like to touch it to the back of my hand to get a feel for how much water. And I'm pulling that color, okay? I can already tell I'm a bit heavier handed than I was when I originally made this card. Again, it's kind of your mood, I find. And we'll move to this next one. So we start by pulling with a clean brush. Clean your brush, not a lot of water, pull again. And I'm purposely not filling in these ornaments. Now, I just had a pool of water go down on this ornament. I don't know if you guys can tell. See that movement? I'm going to let it rest because what that's going to end up doing is giving some really cool like watermarks. Okay, so you just have to be careful so that I don't let it run. Because again, there's no embossing saving the day here, but I'm going to just let it be and see what happens. Okay, so we're moving on to another ornament. Pull, clean, damp brush, pull. So I love that this is not meant to be perfect. It's just adding some color to this really fun cover plate. A lot of it's going to get covered up. It doesn't matter. It's just going to look great no matter what, right? Ooh, lunch on the deck. I love that. Oh, yeah. I see some chatter about our scarecrows in Lawn Fawn Land. Shari and I are big, big fans of the Happy Harvest set. We actually call the scarecrow there Mr. Harvest. And we did an online class with him, which again will be on sale during my back to school sale that's starting August 31st. And this year, Lawn Fawn came out with You Crow Girl. So Mr. Harvest finally has the friend that he always wishes he had. Oops, I'm a little off camera, you guys. I apologize. And so Shari and I are doing another online class called Harvest Friends. So we would love for you to join us. And these are my new classes that I just launched, so they won't be on sale. However, if you want to join and maybe it's not in the crafty budget to buy a lot of stamps and dies right now, you register for class with me and then you can get a class kit from Scrappy Chic, which is a store in Michigan. They make a limited amount of class kits for my online classes. And since the class is just launched, I'm pretty confident that they probably still have some in stock. So it's a fun way to spend a day with Shari and I. We'll be live. And then if you can't make the live, you can always catch the replay and you have access whenever it works for you. So again, I'm kind of pulling that pigment. It's a fun cover plate, and I bet that this cover plate, I haven't tried it yet, but I bet it would look beautiful die cut with metallic cardstock. And you could ink blend a background and then die cut it. I think that would be very pretty too. And honestly, just as white would have been pretty. And I actually contemplated it. But then I was like thinking of stuff I wanted to teach you guys. But I think just leaving it white would be really, really nice. I think the other designers for Pink Fresh do such a good job at leaving things white. Me, not so much. I always got to add a lot of color. So I'm just kind of dabbing some of this out. Now that this has had a minute to dry, I'm kind of pulling some of that water away. And there we go. We have our ornaments done. The store in Michigan, Scrappy Chic, is in Livonia. And I actually will be teaching there in person, excuse me, in October. All right, so now we're going to do our Christmas trees, and we're going to do it the same exact way. And I know that I used lumberjack plaid for the trees. I can just tell. So I'm picking up a little bit of lumberjack plaid, and let me move my pencils. I'm gonna just zigzag it a decent amount of pigment along that right side, just like the ornament. I am going to do a couple at a time, but again, if this is something new that you're trying, I would do one at a time, just so you're not worried about your pigment drying too much. You can most certainly reactivate it with water, but it starts to get a little bit trickier when you're having to do that. Jenny is asking when Shari and I have another Adventures in Card Making. And I'm going to let Shari answer that in the comments, and then I'll say it out loud. I'm afraid I'm going to say the wrong date, but it is in September. And if you go over to Lawn Fawn's YouTube channel, the live is scheduled, pre-scheduled, so you can go over there and tap the bell to be notified. Again, maybe even Brienne can find the answer. I don't want to say a date unless I'm 100% sure. Again, I just wrote out my whole calendar and got everything ready, but I didn't memorize dates. Thank you, Brienne. Brienne saying the cards for my in-person classes are the cutest. She should know because she's helping make kits for those in-person classes. All right, so we're moving on. This is a lot of pigment on this tree. Probably too much, but that's okay. Again, loose watercoloring. This is not meant to be perfect. I do want to try to keep it within the dotted lines because I don't want it to look messy. This is a fairly clean card. So that's the one thing I'm kind of sticking to for a rule, if there really is a rule, is to keep it clean, keep it within the line or the dotted line. But other than that, no rules. Oh, Shari went to Walk Scout. See, I miss all the details. Brienne is telling me that the next Adventures in Card Making is September 12th, right around the corner. And Shari and I were actually just talking about some other Adventures in Card Making coming up, so we'll be sharing those details too. Again, fall's busy, but it's a good busy. That's the one thing that does help my end of summer blues, is I got a lot of fun things going on, and I hope you guys will join me. Lots of fun. So the color for the trees I'm using is Lumberjack Plaid. This is that one I went a little heavy. So what I'm doing is I'm going to go in with a clean brush, not a lot of water, and it's going to kind of soak up some of that pigment. And then I just wipe that extra pigment off on my hand, and we'll get this tree a little bit lighter, mainly so that it matches a little bit more with these other trees. Okay. I call this done. This looks good. So now what I'm going to do is I used my Gonze Tombi Starry Color palette, which I've been using this so much that I do stock this in my online store now, just because all those staple tools and supplies that I use a lot, I tend to carry at my in-person events. And so if I'm buying it for my in-person events, I might as well throw it in my online shop. Brienne just asked, are there any seasons for you that you aren't busy? Oh, Brienne, you know me so well. I'm just going to spray a little bit of water into the yellow gold palette. That's just going to kind of soften it up because these are like a hard caked watercolor. They're not gooey. So adding a little bit of water is going to make them a little gooey. Shari's back. It's too hot outside. And she's confirming that the next Adventures in Card Making is September 12th. Thank you, Shari. If I've missed any questions, feel free to, put it in the chat again. I'm not missing them on purpose. I'm concentrating. So I'm using a little bit of this yellow gold Gonzai Tombi, and I'm just loosely, again, loose, painting it on the toppers of the ornament. And I had a little bit of seepage happening, so I just soaked that up. Let's try this again. That's that problem ornament, the very first one I did. But I'm just doing a little line of gold. I'm not trying to fill it in perfectly. Loose, loose, loose. And then once we get these done, we're going to dry this with the heat tool because then I want to do some splatters. Okay. So that's what that looks like. And I do recommend any watercoloring, wet inky techniques to have a Ranger heat tool, not an embossing gun. The Ranger heat tool is a diffused heat, so it is not going to scorch my paper, and it's also not going to blow the inks around, which an embossing gun will do. So definitely makes doing watercolored things and inky things much easier having a low heat tool. Yay, yay, yay. This is just going to take a quick second to dry. And now we're going to do some splatters with the same Gonzai Tombi yellow gold paint. So I'm using that same paintbrush. I'm just kind of loading up my paintbrush with some paint. And then I just tap over my background. I try to kind of keep my splatters in a diagonal line. You can't control your splatters, but you can kind of direct them a little. You'll see I only put my brush like this. I didn't go all over the place. And this is kind of just giving me those little splatters. So pretty. Now we're going to dry this again. Jack is one of my black kitties. We call him our house panther because he's a really big boy. He just jumped in the window behind me here, and now I have this whole shadow on my table. It's still looking bright on screen, so don't worry, Jack. I don't need to see anything over here. Silly boy. We have all the windows open. It's so nice out, so. So Jenny's asking a good question. She did direct it to Shari, but I'm gonna answer it out loud. She says, "Is Adventures in Crafting and the East Coast Fawnies the same thing? I thought they were different." They are different. So East Coast Fawnies is Shari and I when we teach together, and we are teaching an online class together called Harvest Friends. It's $22, and we would love to have you join. And Adventures in Card Making is kind of a new thing Shari and I started this summer. Shari did a few on her own pre-pandemic, but we kind of brought it back and switched it up a little bit. But it's just a way for us to create with some of our older Lawn Fawn products that are still available. And so a few days before the event, or before the live, on Lawn Fawn's Instagram stories, there will be polls asking people what you want us to use in our adventures in card making, kind of like a choose your own adventure deal. So, so yeah, and it's just meant to get together. There's no handout. There's no real lesson. It's just kind of watch us craft. We'll chat. We'll answer questions. And it's just inspiring you guys to create with maybe some of the older Lawn Fawn products that you already have. Shari and I absolutely love getting all the new products, but what's great about Lawn Fawn is they don't retire stuff very often. So it's fun to go back and give love to some of those previously released items. All right, I'm just poking out these little stars. And then, I don't think I trimmed this background down yet. So we're going to trim it. If you know me, you know I'm going to trim it to be 4 by 5 1/4. So we'll have a little border for the gold paper that I'm going to put this on. Trim over here first. This one was a little tricky to trim because of the pattern. Ooh, it is almost 4. So we're just going to trim. I wonder if I pre-trimmed it, but I'm going to trim that little bit off because that was bothering me. Let's see what this is. Wow, you guys, I was so ahead of the game pre-vacation that I had already trimmed it to be 4 by 5 1/4. Look at me pretending to have my act together. So I just have some gold metallic cardstock. This is Lawn Fawn Gold Metallic. I also think I have some of this in my online shop. Left over, not left over in a bad way, but from an in-person art retreat when I had it for sale. Oh, that's so funny, Shari, that our Adventures in Card Making is September 12th and our Harvest Friends is September 21st. So it's 1/2 and 2/1. Yes. And then Shari and Kelly, Marie and I, the owners of Lawn Fawn, we will be doing another Create With Us, which are our mini free classes. It's going to be Sweet Spiders. I love, love, love the cards we're going to be making for that. And that is on September 13th. Glad Shari knows all the dates. She's also sitting with a calendar right next to her, so I haven't hung anything on my new walls yet in my new studio. I should get something that I can have dates easily posted, because that's always a question. It's always a question during teaching. All right, so I just attached that gold metallic to that background, so that helped bring in some of that gold into those stars. I love how this looks. And then we're going to take our watercolored greenery, and I am going to add some foam squares to that. You're welcome, Jenny. Thank you for asking. I know we're offering a lot of different things. It's really not meant to confuse anybody. As you know, this being my full-time job, my main goal as being a full-time creative chick is just to get you guys inspired to create and inspired to use the stuff that you're buying. Because if we constantly buy new goodies and we never use it, the guilt is going to start to sit in, right? And we're not going to enjoy our hobby that should just be bringing us so much joy. Which again is why I started Get Crackin' on Christmas. Shari and I actually started it together. She's been a little slacker lately, but I still love her. We were just frustrated with ourselves because we didn't get any holiday cards created one year. And we both bought a whole lot of new holiday products from people. So we were like, something's got to give. So we challenged each other every month to post a holiday card. And yeah, so a few years later, here I am. I'm still doing it. And I really do enjoy it. I don't personally like to make the same holiday card for everybody. I don't like monotonous crafting, hence why I don't like kitting for my classes. And I love people like Brienne who support me and like kitting. So I love just doing a little bit every month. It's really been a lot of fun for me and a challenge, but a good challenge, right? All right, so we are going to attach this to our background with the foam squares, right? I guess I didn't need a foam square off the page, Jen, but there we go. And now I'm just going to flip this over and trim off whatever is hanging off. Trim off what's hanging off. There we go. Like I said, unfortunately, most of that eucalyptus went away, but again, totally encourage you if you do have these products and you're going to make your own version of this card to switch it up. It doesn't have to be just like mine, right? All right. Oh, yay, Crystal. Please do come to Connecticut. Come to Papercraft Clubhouse. That's my local store, believe it or not, even though it is a couple hours from me. So I do teach there probably the most frequently. And I would love to have you. The cover plate that I used was the Festive Grid by Pink Fresh. All the supplies are listed in the description of this video and also on my blog post that's pinned in the chat. You also can go back and catch the rest of the video if you're just popping in. Oh, hi, Donna. Yes, you need to get cracking in your new space. I know, moving is a lot of work. I feel ya. Shari's like, I'm a slacker. No, you're not. And thank you, Brienne. Brienne says, if you do want to shop, consider using my affiliate links. I really appreciate that, Brienne. And she linked the page that I have on my website with all my affiliate links. So now we're going to add a little bling. And then because I don't want to do any false advertising, we're also going to add a little glitter because on my Instagram stories, I said we're going to glitter all the things. So I'm actually using these right here, which are kind of a really cool red, but not super red because, you know my feeling on red. Oh, wait, before I do that, I got to do my little word fetty. One second. I've got Sending Holiday Love that I gold embossed. And so I'm just going to cut this into little sentiment strips. And we'll add these to the card with foam strips. All right, so this is what I call word fetty. I always like to do it by hand with scissors, so it purposely doesn't look perfect, because I do want it to have a little bit more of an organic feel. I do word strips, word fetty all the time. It's kind of my jam. So I'm using those 3L foam strips, which I'm almost done this sheet, but I love these things, you guys. I don't know where they've been my whole life, but they're never going to get away from me now. And so I'm going to add Wishing You a Magical Holiday, and then we're going to add Sending Holiday Love. There we go. Now the bling. Now we can add the bling. Let's zoom in just a smidge. There we go. So again, when I add my bling, I tend to go in a diagonal line, bling, sequins, whatever you're doing. And I like to add an odd number. So we're going to do 2 down here. And then I'm going to go up here and I'm going to do 3. So then we will have 5. So cute, right? And again, because I don't want to do any false advertising, we're going to add a little glitter. I'm going to use Distress Rock Candy. Can anybody guess in the chat what I'm going to add my Distress Rock Candy to? I'll give everybody a minute since there is a little bit of delay. And I'll look at the chat and see if I missed anything. Oh, thank you, Pam. So my bracelets are actually made by my niece, Drew. And this summer, she's actually going into 5th grade. And this summer, she started making bracelets and raising money for her local animal shelter. And so when she was here visiting in August, she made a bunch of extra bracelets. Every second we were home, she made bracelets. And she gave them to me to sell in my website on my cards for charity section. My kitty, Mr. Harley, unfortunately passed away in March, but his gotcha day was in August. So I launched a bunch of new card for charity cards to sell. And so all the proceeds from the bracelets and the cards go to my local animal shelter. And there are still some bracelets available. So definitely check that section out on my website. There's just a few bracelets left. I think she made like 22 or 19. She made a lot. It was really cute. Every time we were home, which wasn't much, she worked her little butt off to get a bunch of bracelets made. She was so sweet. I think she might even be a bigger animal lover than me, which is saying a lot. All right, so I'm using Distress Collage Medium to hold on to Distress Rock Candy because it is a fairly thick glitter. I like to use something a little bit wetter. The Quickie glue pen will not hold on to it very well. As many of you guys are guessing, I am going to add the rock candy to the berries. So I am just dabbing a little bit on Distress Collage Medium to each berry. I'll kind of bring it up to the camera once I get some done. Now, unfortunately, if you're new to Distress Rock Candy, you're only going to see this when it looks cloudy because the glue has not dried yet. But in about an hour or so, it'll be fully dry, and I will share some zoomed in video over on my Instagram story. So if you want to go check that out later today, it'll only be up there for 24 hours, but you'll be able to see the magic that rock candy is. It gives like a little sugar coating to things. And I love it. I use Distress Rock Candy a lot. So you can see here, those little white dots is the Distress Collage Medium. And so I'm just going to scoop some of this glitter, pour it on very generously. And I like to give it just a gentle tap. I'm barely touching it, but that's just gently pushing the glitter into the glue. You don't want to push too hard because I don't want to smush out the little dots. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and just pour the rest back into my container. This is my glitter storage container that I carry as well. It's a nice, good size, so I don't have glitter going everywhere. So you can see what I mean. Those berries look super cloudy right now. But again, in about an hour or so, I will add this to my Instagram stories and share the finished look. Since I did not put glitter on my original sample, which is right here. I also have a confession. I can't put this on a card base yet because that glue is wet and it'll smush. But my original card is on a card base, so gold star for me. And I already had a card base ready to go today. So my plans were there. I forgot to put it on before I glittered. So I will put it on my card base before I post to Instagram stories. If you've been around, you know I have a problem and never get my cards onto card bases. So I'm trying to do better, especially with holiday cards, because it took me so long to put them on card bases one year. So that is it, you guys. Thank you so much. Miss Brienne, I appreciate you so much being in the comments, linking all the things. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And for those of you that joined me live, I actually am looking at the number right now. There was quite a few of you guys with me live today. So thank you so much for taking time out of your day, out of your busy schedules. And if you're catching this on replay, thank you for joining us for that as well. Again, if you're new to Get Crackin' on Christmas, there's a whole playlist here on YouTube. You can go back and see many lives that I have shared for more holiday card inspiration. Maybe you haven't been Get Crackin' on Christmas with me all year and you need some inspiration to jumpstart those creative juices. Check that out. Definitely head over to my website. There's so much inspiration over there, as well as online classes, fun goodies to purchase. I always love when you guys support me there. Remember, if you're watching this live on Friday, August 30th, or you're catching the replay close to Friday, August 30th, I will be having a back to school sale on my previously released online classes. You'll be able to save 15%. So head on over to my website starting tomorrow, August 31st, and check out those details, and definitely try a class with me. In-person classes, I will be at Scrappy Chic in Michigan and Papercraft Clubhouse in Connecticut in the fall. And then I also have my Creative Journey Art Retreat here on Cape Cod in November. Registration for that is going to be closing very soon. There are only a couple seats left for that. So if you've been on the fence and kind of holding out on registering, now is the time to do that. All details are over on my website. Thank you so much. Have a fabulous Friday. Have a happy Labor Day weekend if you're in the States. And I'll catch you guys next month. Third Thursday of the month, I'll post my next Get Crackin' on Christmas.